Making good progress on the big block upgrade here on the Super Chipmunk. Got the Super Tigre 90 stuffed in there. It's a good fit. It's a good upgrade on a 60 size airplane because the physical dimensions of this Super Tigre 90 is the same as the OS 61 SF. I also have upgraded the radio. It's on Spectrum now. Spectrum receiver, got stronger, faster digital servos in there. So I'm gonna go over this, show you where I am, what I got going on. Still got more to do on the cowling. Went from a round head to a square head, a little bigger cutouts for the pit style muffler. So got a little fiberglass work to do there. Other than that, we're getting pretty close to getting this thing ready for a maiden. This was a really simple modification, putting this Super Tigre 90 in this airplane. The length of the motor and the height of the motor is the same as the OS 61. These are identical motor mounts to the ones I had for the OS 61, except these are aluminum. So same bolt pattern for the motor mounts. Had to make the same modification here, cutting this angle, clear the cowling. I have the head removed and the high-speed needle for putting the cowling on and off. Got the openings covered up to keep the fiberglass dust out of them as I'm cutting and grinding on the cowling. Mostly I'm modifying for the square head versus the round. And the pit style muffler has more volume for the 90 size engine. It's longer, bigger diameter. Here's the valve for fueling a nitro engine inside a cow. There's a fitting on the end of my fuel line. When you insert the fitting, it cuts off the flow going to the motor and it pumps straight into the tank. When you remove the fuel fitting, it just passes straight through and shuts off here. Here's the other motor mounts for the OS 61. You can see it's an identical mount. Same pattern, same shape, same exact design. I don't remember where I got them from, but I'm going with the aluminum ones because that's the ones I had for the motor. Like I said, you can see I made the same modification on this angle. I actually did a little more to clear the cow. This was, I think it was touching. Didn't want it touching. Here's the difference in volume, size of the pit style muffler for the 90 versus the 61. Here's a comparison of the height of the motors. Here's a look at the length. So this 61 OS engine, pretty beefy 61, that's for sure. Big frame engine on it. And the Super Tigre 90 has always been a good conversion for a 60 size plane because it has such a compact footprint. Okay, let's take a look at what came out of the plane. Here's the receiver. No longer need a wire with 2.4 gigahertz, the antenna wire. That's gone. The old servos, Futaba S148s. Not a very strong servo. I'm not sure how we actually flew our planes with those. They're 0.25 seconds end to end on speed and only 33.3 inch ounces. These were out for a while. I'm not sure if they're even being made, but Dad Pro Plus servos. I don't remember what they are, maybe 60 inch ounces. Had one on the rudder, one on the elevator. This was flaps, this was ailerons. Then I had these mini servos in the plane. One for actuating a switch, the valve that works the retracts, and then this was throttle. I put sub micros in there, and I actually saved the weight of one whole servo by doing that. And that's what came out as far as motor mounts, pit stop muffler, and the OS61 SF engine. And this is a 13 by 6 APC prop. Going with quite a bit more prop with the Super Tigre 90 top flight 14 by 8. Here's a look at the new electronics package. Went with the AR 7610 2.4 gigahertz receiver. That can handle up to 9.6 volts. But I have a Spectrum LiPo 6.6 volts. The life is 2200 milliamps. And the reason for that is these servos max out at 6 volts. So these are the SPM SH310s on 6 volts. They're 0.13 seconds end to end and 112 inch ounces. So twice the speed and 3 times the torque. This is throttle. This is for actuating the retracts. So these are the ones that save the weight of one of those minis. Just working the throttle. And this is just actuating this switch, which is nothing more than a valve. This is a quick disconnect fitting. This pneumatic line goes to the wing. So here's the air tank, pressurized air tank. All this has to do is flip the switch, send the pressure to the retracts. So very nice electronics package, nice clean install. Here are the new servos in the wing. This has a single aileron servo setup. There's the servo for the flaps. These are the same servos that I have for rudder and elevator, same specs. Here's the other part of the quick release fitting for the retracts, pneumatic lines running out to the retracts. So I'm going to be really curious how this plane flies with the specs on these servos. Accuracy of the digital servos and the speed and the holding power. The last part of this is where I am with the cowling. These openings certainly changed. There's 2 aspects to what I'm doing here. One was the openings that were in there. Things are slightly positioned different, especially with this pit style muffler. So I had to open it up for the square head, and the needle valve, the height of this carburetor is slightly different. And obviously, like I said, the pit style muffler. But the 2 aspects of it are clearance for the component and then also clearance to put the cowling on and off. Like for instance, this cutout back in here is so I can put it on and clear this pit style muffler. I have to have everything installed, tightened down, Loctited, all bolted up, and I got to be able to put the cowling on and off. Same thing right here with this opening for the needle valve. This is so this cutout back into here is so when it goes on, I can't take this, disassemble this anymore and get it back together once the cowling's on, so I have to go up over this part of the needle valve. So this cutout back in here is to clear that so I can get it far enough back and drop on and in place. And like I said, same with this cutout. It has to get past this pit style muffler. The head opening is pretty much right where it needs to be, and same with the cutout for this side of the pit style muffler. So the blue tape is, once I did my cutouts, I cut out to where I thought it would go on. Once I got in position, it wasn't exactly right. So I have to add fiberglass where you see the blue tape protruding into these openings. So that's what I have to repair, and this will be ready to go. Like I said, the tape is just mocking up, showing me where I have to fiberglass to make all these openings like they need to be. That's where I am with this upgrade. Motor's in, electronics are in, a little bit more work to do on the cowling. I was going through some pictures recently, trying to date my older models, and I found a picture of this airplane, the old 35mm photos with a date stamp in the corner. I built this plane in 1995. So we're going to see how a 26-year-old plane does with a big block upgrade and new electronics. I got the radio program, kind of excited about some of the features in the radio. We'll go over that, do a radio check and a startup on the engine, and then we'll go out and do a maiden.